Okay. Be recorded. We want to make sure it's available to other people. It will go up on our website, as well as any notes that I'll be taking from conversations, from questions from David, and that will also be on our website. So if you don't want to be seen in the recording, please make sure you keep your camera off and make sure to ask any questions in the chat. Since we're a large group today, in a wonderful, wonderful way, we won't have time to do introductions, so please, please, please do it in the chat. Share your name, your pronouns, what organization you're from, what community you're supporting. And if you're willing, put in your email, connect with other people. That's what we're here for. So we're really excited to have you. If you do have any questions, please put them in the chat. Okay, with that, I am beyond excited to welcome David Toledo, who is a queer Chicano ecofeminist and has been growing food organically for 7 years. They have degrees in sustainable community development, sociology, and social justice. After school, he was a teacher through City Year and volunteered at a community farm, which led to the idea of starting a business. Contemporary Farmer Inc. was founded in 2019 with the goal of connecting urban, rural, and suburban farming initiatives and fostering intergenerational education around regenerative agriculture. In the long term, David plans to help others start businesses that build equity locally. And when he isn't volunteering with other local farming initiatives, he spends his time cooking, gathering with friends and family around food, biking, and being intentional and personal time through self-routines. With that, I welcome you, David. Thank you so much for being here today.
Oh my gosh, of course. Hello, everybody. Mi nombre es David Toledo. Mucho gusto. Some people are still trickling in, which is super exciting. I always look super nice and collective, but I'm a little nervous behind the scene here. But I'm excited to be here, and I'm excited to share some wisdom, to get you excited about growing, to help you plan to get more harvest, more abundance in your fridges, with your friends, with yourself. Because the reality is, I believe that we're going to need home growers and commercial farmers and urban farmers and suburban farmers to keep working together to help us get us more food, get us better food, get us more meals, and more education and services around how we can keep helping each other grow. And yes, everything that he said, Liz, is true. I am a queer Chicano first generation farmer here in the US. I come from an immigrant family and background. So we were kind of disrupted through the immigration process of working with the land. But now I am reclaiming that and bringing it back to my community, back to my culture, back to my roots, and saying, hey, let's continue growing. Let's continue stewarding the land. Let's continue feeding each other and learning and implementing best ways to feed ourselves and take care of the environment. I have a lot of big ideas. I have a lot of big dreams. So slowly you're a part of that today with this group of 28, which I'm super, super excited. I'm coming in live from back of the yards here in the indoor Victory Garden at Plant Chicago, where I grow with multiple folks. First of them being Plant Chicago. We have Cedillo's Fresh Produce here, who's an urban farmer in Inglewood. Safra Farms, I know Farmer Jenny is here, and myself. And then we have a bunch of other people come here and grow and learn with us. If you have not been here to Plant Chicago already, or if you're not following Plant Chicago, go ahead and follow Plant Chicago on social media, visit their website. They have an upcoming event, I think next week or so, but that's gonna be on their social media. There's a huge seed swap And this is a place where you can also drop off electronics, which I know is incredibly difficult to recycle and brings me a lot of anxiety of what do I do with this now that's no longer working. So this is a place where you can do that. Also a place where you can drop off your compost when we do host community farmers markets and events. It's completely, actually, I'm not sure. I think it's free of charge, but you can still drop off your food scraps here. So yeah, there is that. And if you're not following me already on social media, or if you haven't visited my website, come check us out, contemporaryfarmerinc.com. And on social media, it's Contempo Farmer. This year, we are celebrating year 4 of growth and being alive in this universe, which is beautiful. And I know that Chicago Grows Food is also tagging along with their 4th year celebration. So come celebrate with us, because behind the scenes, there is so much that goes on. And in a time of crisis, in a time of heaviness in this world, us connecting, us feeding ourselves, us sharing our hearts and what's in our mind is going to help us smooth everything out just a little bit. So come celebrate with us. And that goes with any other business and organization that is celebrating throughout these years. It's incredibly important for us to keep showing up for each other, because it makes us feel good and it makes us keep growing and stay motivated. So I'll share that with you guys. And I also know that in 2020, the year of the pandemic, which we are still on, a lot of businesses started. So I have no idea what was happening in that realm. But in some of my cohorts, as a small business owner, as a beginning farmer, I have met so many people that 2020 was their first year of growth and business. So it's kind of wild, but incredible to see. And we need to keep on supporting each other anyway. One of my biggest missions as well is to keep supporting local people, keep supporting local ideas, keep supporting local dreams. So I hope that you keep seeing that as we grow season after season. And the way that I like to work with other people too, is to keep amplifying each other, because once we keep amplifying, uplifting each other, we're all going to be a little better. So that's kind of how my brain works a little bit. Today is St. Valentine's Day. I am wearing my, you can't really tell, but it is pink. And I have cherry blossoms in here. So in order to celebrate, I wanted to wear pink and my cherry blossom. So if you are not wearing something fun today, just wear it, even if you're around the house. Little things like this help us just keep staying engaged, bringing us little joy here and there, which brings us and takes us a long way. Since 2019, I've been helping people grow food, whether that's on their rooftop or in their school garden or at home. And there's so many ways that we can do that. I know when I was reading the comments that some of us are small growers here in Chicago. Fabulous, welcome. I know that some of us are helping other growers volunteer and get connected. Welcome, hello, and thank you. And a few good friends. Baba Oren is here. Israel, Chow, Janine, welcome. Dr. Akila, welcome everybody. And if I haven't met you, hello. Thank you for being here. And thank you for those that have there. I think Leon, hello, for having your camera on. You're looking fabulous. And Derek, look at that smile, looking good. Welcome. Hopefully by the end of this workshop and virtual session where I'm kind of just talking, you'll have a better idea of how to plan, how to think, and maybe I might remind you of a little bit here and there of what you could be doing during the growing season. So let us get started. We are still in winter. Winter is a time where we should be going a little slower pace. But I know that's not always the case. In December, we have the holidays, we are moving, we are shaking, we are eating good food, and things are wrapping up. But it's a time for us to gather. and connect and keep showing up for each other and sharing joy. And when it comes to feeding ourselves, there's still so much that we can do in the winter. Behind me, you see bright lights that are helping growers grow beets and microgreens, and even some basil and dill, believe it or not. My suggestion is, we're gonna start with winter because we're here. My suggestion is that investing in a good grow light is gonna help us grow different things throughout the year. And one of the mission of Chicago Grows Food is to help us alleviate some of this expense of eating good food, growing locally, right? A grow light can take us a very long way. It is going to give us good quality and a better, fuller harvest. What can you do with the grow light? We can grow multiple things with a good grow light. Microgreens are one of the things. Hello, Erica. Welcome. Microgreens is something that can feed yourself for a long time, feed a group of people for a while, and alleviate some of the expense of fresh greens, lettuce, which I'm looking at right now. Plant Chicago is growing it hydroponically. Spinach, a lot of those things we can do on our own. And you can also grow head lettuce or dill and cilantro year-round indoors, especially during the winter when we are lacking some of that flavor that fresh food and local food gives us. So a grow light can give us all that. We can get a full head lettuce using passive hydroponic, and I have an example for you. We can grow a full tray of microgreens that we can substitute as nice, fresh, leafy greens. And we can do different things. We can add that to a salad. We can sandwich. We can add that to our enchiladas. We can add that to our tacos. And that flavor and the nutrition is going to be there for us. Give me a thumbs up, or actually, no, let's see. Give me a heart if you know what passive hydroponics is. And I will give myself a heart to get us started. I see one. Shout out to Baba Oren. Passive hydroponics. All right, fabulous. Okay, Selma. I see Selma here. Welcome. Okay, 3 people. I recently learned this from growing and connecting with Happy Leaf LED. They're a grow light company that is engineered and manufactured here in the state of Illinois. Another local producer helping us grow food in a different way. Passive hydroponics is something simple like this. This is full-grown basil and full-grown dill. We see roots, we have water. This is a full harvest of dill right here that we can grow November, December, January, February, even into March, or anytime during the grow year. Also, I like this. This kind of looks good here. These plants are making me look good. I'm gonna keep them there. And this is a way, these passive hydroponics, all we need is a mason jar. You need filtered water, you need seeds, some clay pellets that are inside, and a grow light. And you also need some nutrition for it, which is our Maxi Grow right over here. I have worked with Happy Leaf LED for a few years now, bringing workshops and bringing this into my classroom to show people how they can feed themselves this way. When you're not growing dill or basil, you can sow seeds of lettuce, and that's going to give you a full, beautiful head of lettuce. You are looking at about 2 months, maybe a month to a month and a half of growth. And with a good grow light, thank you, Baba Oren, you're going to feed yourself good food. And local food that you could just harvest within seconds and eat it within minutes of your harvest. If you were here, you're gonna smell the dill, even from could smell this basil. So this is a reminder. It's like, hey, we can grow and feed ourselves in small spaces and in different ways. When I was first starting to launch Contemporary Farming, I went to Garfield Conservatory and I went to other events where the growing community was connected. And there was twice the question was asked, who is not growing? And 80%, 90% of the room rose their hand and said, I'm not growing because I don't have space to grow. And that's when my brain started to think and said, hey, the reality is that we can grow food in an urban space, in a small apartment, in a small home, in different ways. And this was a full solution right here. And then I also told you about microgreens. We have microgreens I like because we use soil, and I'm gonna bring a tray of microgreens. A lot of us have seen it at farmers markets. A lot of us have seen it at grocery stores, but maybe you haven't. Give me a heart if you have seen or know how to grow microgreens. All right, Joanna Tess, Mark Johnson, Baba Oren, Selma. All right, a few of us know. I see heart, thank you in the chat. This is a beautiful full tray of fresh radishes. I thought that I ate a lot of leafy greens and that a full tray was more than enough for me, but this is a lot of food and this is a lot of fresh greens and a substitute of lettuce. You can grow this themselves using organic potting soil. It doesn't have to be a ginormous tray like this too. Anything that can hold soil, like your favorite cereal bowl, a little coffee mug, something that you're not using before, you can repurpose and integrate it into your space. So it is a part of your home, it is a part of your apartment, and then you can be a little bit more connected in your process of growing nice, fresh food. So microgreens, my process or some of the materials that you need is a holding container, organic potting soil. We use Cosmo potting soil, organic seeds. There are so many different ways for you to purchase organic seeds that are microgreens. And it's quite simple. You want to make sure that your soil is well saturated. And you just want to sprinkle a few water daily or every 2 days, and you're gonna see a lot of that start to grow. So in the winter, you can still feed yourself in all of these different ways. And that is January, that is February, that is Febrero, no. Diciembre, enero, febrero, even into March. You can feed yourself in this way. And if you have a big family, you can get everybody involved and make sure that they are doing chores, or maybe you're giving yourself a few more chores to do that. And then we are going to start planning and planting in March. Now it's springtime. The solstice is coming up. And you are already thinking and planning of what to do outdoors. In March, some of the things that we do, and Liz, keep me in time because now I'm remembering that it is 12:25 that we have a time check here. In March, there are multiple things that you are doing and planning. One of the first things that we do, and when I was preparing for this virtual event for you guys, I had a difficult time because now our seasons are changing and it's December. We had a very mild winter, and as a grower and as a farmer, it kind of gives me some anxiety for sure, because some of the way that I was growing 7 years ago is slowly shifting. We are getting an earlier spring, we are getting little to no winter, good and bad, right? I was able to harvest way into December. but I understand that we need a harsh winter to make sure that we are killing pests and diseases, but also building the organic matter that is giving us the quality soil that we need and have for a long time. That's going to shift. So I'm going to ask you to focus on soil practices so that we can continue to have good, abundant harvests in your garden. Let me take a few steps back. Going back to March, you are going to your office, you're going behind your computer to a coffee shop, and you're creating your list of what meals you want to eat, what meals you want your garden to help you cook and enjoy. And you're making your list. In my household, I eat a lot of cilantro. I eat different greens. And what else do I eat? I love to make breakfast. But we're gonna say cilantro right now, right? So I'm gonna make my list of what sort of meals. Oh, I love to make my enchiladas. So I'm thinking about my tomatillos. I'm thinking about my peppers. I'm thinking about my tomatoes that are going to make my full meal. So you're making your list in March, and then you're starting to plan. You're looking at your seed websites. A company that I have decided to collaborate with is the Buffalo Seed Company, because they are working on bringing the Midwest bio-regional adaptive seeds that are open pollination, that they are land raised, and they are working. I was just on the phone with them a few days ago, placing our seed order so then I can grow it for Chicago Grows Food. And some of you guys might see some of those seedlings. So you're planning, you're thinking there. We also offer those seeds on our website. At farmers markets and different events, you'll see their packaging. They have shifted it and they are growing. They are also growing into their fourth or even fifth year, actually. So slowly together, we're moving forward, which is incredible and awesome to see. And let us not forget, if you have the ability and capacity to start your seedlings, you're starting that around February and March as well. Some of the things that take the longest are Brussels sprouts and celery, broccoli and cauliflower. And depending on when you'd like to start that, you're starting that in late February, you're starting that into March, to make sure that you're going to have a harvest in June. So you're prepping in February and March for full abundant harvest in June. That includes your head lettuce. That includes your, besides cauliflower, cabbage. Did I say cabbage? I ran this presentation in my head a few times before, so now I forget what I'm saying. But there's all that. There's some of that prep work. So you've already gone online, you gather your seeds. If you have the capacity, you're starting some seedlings indoors, and some of your cold tolerant crops, your brassicas, your cilantro, your dill, if you want a succession. In March, sometimes I am also already going in the soil, in the garden, outdoors. And even if it's going to get below 20 or around 20, I'm still going to try and sow my cilantro seeds, my dill seeds, my carrot seeds, my beet seeds. And I have done that for multiple years. And I still see that these seeds are so resilient that they are still sprouting regardless of temperatures dropping low. So I want to challenge you and remind you that, hey, despite of it still being cold, or I think traditionally we've been told not to drop seeds if it is going to get below freezing. I have done that, and I have seen my seeds still sprout. So a suggestion for you to just give it a try to see if you're going to get good germination and not, and you are getting a step ahead. The cilantro and the carrot and the beet seeds will be slower growing because they're still wanting to stretch and get activated by the sun. But hey, you've already done the work to put the seeds there and then plan your harvest. So it's going to work. And you can do that. Yes, I am talking about direct sowing seeds in the ground. And you can do that anytime in March. You can do that anytime in April. and even in May, you are planning your cold tolerant crops. If you decide and if you have the ability and capacity to start your own seedlings, within this time, you're also going to start acclimating your seedlings. You want to make sure that they are tough, that they can use the sun well, that their leaves and their stems are standing upright and they can move with the wind, and have the harsher conditions of living outdoors, because they have been well taken care of indoors. They're nice and cozy, but sometimes it is a tough and cold world out there. So we want to make sure that they are getting well acclimated into the outdoors. And you should do that when when you feel like it's nice and comfortable and cozy for your plants. I do not want you to overthink this process. If at any point you might feel you need a few more guidance, let us not forget that we are all connected to the World Wide Web, where we can go onto YouTube. You can use TikTok, you can use Instagram, find your local, your local grower or your favorite grower online, and they might be able to help you out this way. And when it comes to acclimating our seedlings, whether for spring or summer, you want to make sure that the temperature, you're giving them mild conditions for them to slowly get exposed to the environment. So when it comes to my broccoli and my celery, I'm always wanting to put them in shady areas, in areas where I know that they are going to still get exposed to the sun, still get some sunlight, so it's not harsh right away. And it is a tricky process. If for some reason your plants die or they get sun damage, remember that these plants are smart. They have been growing and existing with us for thousands of years, so they can still come back up. Unless you see that they are totally not there with us anymore. Then we can put them in our compost and connect with me, because I'll most likely have seedlings for you, or connect with Chicago Grows Food, who can help you in that process too. So there is that. That is springtime. Slowly, and then you are moving into, Janine, I see here, when I buy seedlings, I only see that, but we'll come back to that. Now it's summertime. When it comes to summertime, now you're thinking about your peppers, your basil, your tomatoes, and summer is going to start around May for us as growers and farmers. But so a lot of the times when we are thinking of our full abundant gardens, we think a summer garden, and we like to plant everything at once. But hopefully with that quick explanation in the spring, you see that you are planning ahead, and then you're slowly working your way into the garden to make sure that it's a nice, full, abundant garden. When it comes to May, we actually are already planting our tomatoes and our peppers and our basil. And I'm gonna take us back to springtime, when at the end of March and in early April, we are starting some of those seedlings, if you have the capacity and ability to do that. You have the ability to find your favorite seeds and start the tomatoes that you want, start the peppers that you want. There are hundreds of varieties of different tomatoes that we don't always see, that we can take some of that interest and some of that power back into our food, back into our plate, by selecting the seeds that we want to grow and eat and share with other people. So you're starting your tomatoes and your peppers late March, early April. And then you're slowly going to acclimate that in May, when the weather is getting warmer. Because our summer loving plants tend to be a little bit more, the word that's coming to my mind is delicate to the environment. So they're a little bit more tender. So they're gonna require a little bit more attention from us, and we're gonna acclimate them just a little different. And we're gonna pay a little bit more attention to the sun exposure, to where we're acclimating them, and make sure that they are going to stay cozy and well protected, because they take a long time to grow. We wanna make sure that they will be strong and healthy for us to harvest later. And something that I want to say is succession planting and succession seeding, directly sowing your seeds or your transplants. That is the key to a successful garden, to a successful harvest, to an abundant one as well. Anytime when I am planting my cilantro, 3 weeks to 8 weeks in, I am planting more cilantro and I am planting more dill and I am planting more basil, because as I harvest, then I know that later I'm going to get more. So succession is always going to make sure that our tummies stay full, that our fridges stay full, and you are planning to make sure that everything is well taken care of. I mean, that your shopping list is well taken care of. So that's kind of my mindset there. So that's summertime. And then don't forget to always start your flowers as well around March or April. You're starting your zinnias, you're starting your calendula, your marigolds, and any other flower that you might like. There are some seeds that I also like to do a succession seeding. I am directly sowing the seed of calendula in the ground, of nasturtium as well. I'm allowing my dill and my basil to also bolt and give me flowers, so then I can harvest that and eat it. Which leads me to another best practice that will give us full, abundant gardens, is the ability for us to seed save. When we allow our dill to bolt, when we allow our basil to bolt, it's going to give us, first of all, flower that's going to attract our pollinators, and we're going to be able to feed them as well. And then later, the gift that will go to you are those seeds that are coming from those plants that season after season, they are going to be able to adapt and grow better in your garden. So let's not forget that throughout the growing season, you're also slowly planning for seed saving. And you are allowing some of these plants to give you the next generation of seeds. They're going, like the Buffalo Seed Company, they're going to give you adaptable, resilient seeds. So let's not forget that beautiful ancient practice. So there is that, summertime. Oh, and then I want to talk about soil. Throughout the spring into the entire growing season, wherever you have the energy to, make sure to always feed your soil. Every 2 years, I like to add fresh organic compost. If I was going to be selective, I'm going to tell you mushroom compost, getting that into your soil, into your growing pots, into your grow bags, even inside your indoor plants. That is going to make sure that you always have the micro and macronutrients in your plants. If you never mind. By the end of the growing season, your soil is going to lack a lot of nitrogen. So making sure that you are always feeding your soil as well is going to make sure that you are giving yourself the harvest in the garden. The harvest that you need in your garden. So whether it's with compost, with worm castings, with biochar, I'm blanking on a few. Oh, with leaf mulch, making sure that you are also nourishing and taking care of your soil, because that's going to be where the abundance comes from. That's going to give you strong, hardy plants. It's going to give you full harvest of tomatoes and peppers and cucumbers. And it's similar to our gut microbiome. If our gut is well taken care of, then we're going to continue to stay healthy and have a good balance in our health in our life. And if we don't, then we're going to see some things we're going to have to pay a little bit more attention to. So remember to always nourish and take care of your soil. I add compost to my gardens every 2 years. I like to lay my garden to rest in the spring or in the winter, not laying it to rest, but protecting the soil with leaf mulch in the spring or in the winter, so then it can slowly decompose and nourish our soils. Liz, I see that you took yourself off mic. Do you have a few questions or something that's on your mind?
Yep, we have a few questions that came through the chat, and I want to make sure we have time to answer them. And then
I still have fall and winter. Just don't forget. Don't
I
remind.
know, but we may have to hold out on it.
Okay, cool.
We'll have to see. All right, we'll go through questions and we can revisit it. So the first question that came into the chat was actually about grow lights. So what features make a good grow light?
That's a good technical question. We want to have the thing that I know about Happy Leaf LED is some of the data that they've been collecting of what the red and blue light bulbs do to us. We have some grow lights that are able to give us indoors fruits like cucumbers and tomatoes, even nasturtium flowers. And some grow lights are only going to give us the ability for us to grow nice leafy green, to get microgreens, to get head starts on our seedlings and our starts. So there is a difference, but you know what? I am not going to be able to give you nice technical info, but we can check in with Happy Leaf LED for our good friends.
Great. Yeah, we'll follow up with notes and the recording and all of the details to any questions that don't
Also,
get.
Selma's here. I know Selma is a genius, so if Selma, if you want to come in, feel free to come in. Go ahead, Liz.
Okay, the next one is I'm curious if we should start seeds earlier this year since spring will be coming earlier, and how do we plan for that?
Selma, do you have something to say?
Oh yeah, sorry.
Oh yeah, no, you're good. As for the lights, okay, so I'm not saying you can't get a good light that's inexpensive, but just understand, good ain't cheap and cheap ain't good, and you get what you pay for. Now, depending on what you're growing, the reason it matters is because the better lights or the more expensive lights will require more energy, which means you'll have a higher ComEd bill. So now we're offsetting some costs that we won't spend at the grocery store, but now we're putting on grow lights. So it depends on how much you want to grow. I always recommend to people to try and utilize both natural light as well as a grow light. And that way, that'll help you out. So of course, your south-facing window, and you can get those cute little grow lights. And I left mine at the house, and they come with like the little 4 wands. That's 4, and you can move the wands around, and they're like $20 off Amazon. You can't put a lot of plants underneath them now because it's a $20 light. And if you like, say for instance, right now, if I'm in my office right now, if you have like a window like this, don't mind that brick wall. I'm working on it. But you have this nice sunlight right there. If I had a plant or something like that, I would put my grow light right here and brace it over there. If you're willing to do something like that, a $20 light off Amazon that has both red and far red, or some people call it like blue and red, but you want to make sure you have both spectrums because they're responsible for what you want. Unless you're like, I just want leafy greens, you don't need both the red and far red. And on Amazon, they'll explain that.
Thank you, Selma. What other questions do we have, Liz?
So the next one that came in was just about planning to start seeds earlier if we know spring is going to be earlier.
Yes, you definitely can. And you should. Your easiest thing to do is to directly sow that seed in ground. But you can also get started a little earlier. And this is probably a time to drop that link of the Old Farmer's Almanac. The Old Farmer's Almanac is an amazing, accessible planting calendar and guide that Liz just dropped in the chat. I have purchased their books season after season. I buy their calendars. I use this link to help others grow, and they kind of does some of that work for us to help us plan. So it's a good resource for us. It's accessible and free.
Awesome. Okay, so you already answered this one. You're talking about direct planting for herbs and root vegetables, right? Or can you start them in a tray and transplant?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then do you have, if you can't start your own seedlings, are there places locally that you recommend?
Yes, first of all, Contemporary Farmer will have some seedlings for you. We've been growing different seedlings for organizations for I think 4 seasons now. And if you do go to a nursery, sometimes I like to ask, like, do you spray? What kind of seed do you use? I could get technical and I ask those questions. When I go to restaurants, I also like to ask, do you source locally? If someone's giving me microgreens, I'm saying, where did they come from? So I always like to ask those different questions. At the end of the day, if they're going to be a good sale or you're getting some seedlings, planting it and purchasing it is going to give you produce, which is awesome.
Yay, thank you. And then maybe we can talk a little bit more about your fall and winter, because the next question is, do you do succession planting with microgreens during the winter as well?
Uh, Actually, no, I really don't. You're always planning ahead for your harvest, so I guess it could be a succession planting. But I'm not so intentional like I am outdoors. I'm just making sure that I have a full tray or I have something that I want. If I know I'm gonna have friends later in the month, I might plant some broccoli or some cabbage. Or if I really want, some of my family loves cilantro, so if I know we're gonna have during a family party, I plant cilantro and bring it because that flavor and that richness is there. And I have an uncle that loves it, so I grow it continuously for him.
And it's someone put in the chat, they heard it only makes sense to save seeds from heirlooms since they're the most similar to their parent. But have you had success with second generation hybrids?
Yeah, anytime that I see some seeds, I am going to plant it and take it and do a germination test or test it out. And I'm collecting seeds season after season after season.
Awesome. Okay, I want to give you a few more minutes. You have about 4 minutes if you want to highlight fall and winter, and then we have a few wrap-up resource sharing.
During the fall, I want you to remember that you should still succession seed your beets, your cilantro, your carrots, your lettuce, your radishes. You are starting some of those seedlings in July, believe it or not, indoors or outdoors under a hoop house. So you can get a October or November fall harvest. And during September and October, it's a good time for you to start cleaning up the debris, to add leaf mulch to your soil, to amend your soil with worm castings or more compost, to make sure that the nutrition is going to be there the following year. And during the winter, I guess, now we're talking about December and January, you are going back indoors and you're starting all over again. Passive hydroponic, microgreens, growing food for you indoors. And throughout the entire growing season, you're planning ahead and you're collecting that seed and you're sharing your harvest, you're sharing your seeds, and you're moving on throughout the growing season. So that's kind of how my mind plans and plays the growing season. That came to my mind for you today.
Awesome. Okay, a question that had been asked a while ago is, do you know if non-soil grown food has the same nutrition as soil grown food?
Yeah, that is Baba Oren or Selma, do you have that question? I love working with soil. I'm always going to promote and prioritize soil. That will be my practice long term. I love to grow and practice using different growing methods. So then I'm also going to remind you that we can feed ourselves in different ways. But I am under the impression that, yeah, soil can continue to help us get more nutrition. Baba Oren?
The jury is out in terms of equivalent nutrient values. I am in accord with David and other folks in terms of the superiority of soil-based growing, of course, but I think there's some value in hydroponics and aquaponics. And I think that long-term urban farming and gardening is critical. And I think we should use it as a method to allow our rural and peri-urban systems to rest a bit and be regenerated. So there's nothing wrong with hydroponically grown or aquaponically grown stuff. There are some issues also in terms of fertilizers and where they go and whether they will contribute to algae blooms and all of that. So I guess I said all that to say it's a complex issue. Be careful. And the passive hydroponic stuff that you can do at home, that's okay. Do it when you can, if you can. The thing around lights too, that becomes complicated. You also have to think about how much space you have and whether you can drape stuff from the ceiling or whether you're going to have something that sits on a table or whatever the case may be. Selma brought up the wands. I have a wand set up that I just attach to something because it has this little clamp thing. And I had seedlings that I started with Malcolm Evans at Urban Growers Collective in October. And our experiment was to see if we can get them through the winter and get a jump start in the spring. When that Arctic thing came on, we brought them in the house and put them under the lights. And now I'm going to harden them again and put them back outside because they want to start growing. So we'll do that and then transplant them shortly. David is spot on. I would recommend if you're going to sow direct in terms of vegetables, I would stick with the hardy greens, the kales and the collards. We've done that as early as April, direct sowing, even had some get snow and they just shake that off. Spinach also. Now, when you start talking about spinach and broccoli and some of the other stuff, David and Selma and Robert and other folks, it's getting tricky because what has happened the last couple of years, we get popped with some 80-degree weather in May and your stuff boats. So if you can get some stuff going and get it outside, and just remember, folks, there's no guarantees. Frost dates and all that, that's nice stuff, but who knows? David's point early on, December, some people are starting to even say December in our particular zone is really fall. Typically, we had thought that December, January, and February were winter, March, April, May is spring, June, July, August is summer, September, October, November is fall, but with the climate situation, it looks like we're getting extra stuff. David mentioned harvest. We harvested here in the house. We have a small greenhouse, but we had stuff that was left out of the greenhouse, and we harvested from that as late as January the 7th.
Awesome. Thanks, Baba Oren. I hate always cutting you off, but I do want to make sure we have enough time.
Oh, I'm done.
I'm done. David, any final thoughts on that before we talk about some resources?
Don't overthink it. Grow, practice, have fun. Don't overplan it. Get outside and let it do its thing. We need small growers. We need medium growers. We need home growers. We need large-scale farmers. We need everybody involved and engaged in our food system. That's going to make us be better environmentalists, better eaters, better people. We're going to be able to share stories and connect. So there's some of those things. Thank you, guys. And then Liz, what else do we have?
Thank you. Really appreciate you being here today. Now that we've had a great discussion, our March Lunch and Grow is going to be with Dr. Akila Martin, and they're going to be talking about soil and soil health. So we're really excited to be there to get our soil ready for the season. We also, if you're interested in growing, if you're new to all of this and on this call, email me. We'll get you a grow kit. We'll help you get started. That's what Chicago Grows Food is here to do. We work very closely with a lot of the organizations on the call to make sure that your soil is healthy, that your plants are healthy, and that you have the resources you need. With that, I want to introduce Community Food Navigator, because we only have an hour on these calls and we have so many questions and so much discussion that I want to be able to talk to you all in between the luncheon grows. So I really want to introduce Community Food Navigator. Please get on it if you're not already, and join the Container Garden group. That's where Chicago Grows Food will be sharing out all sorts of things. Israel, you want to share?
Yeah, I'll be super quick. First, I just want to thank David. That was amazing. That was great. Especially that last part about not overthinking. I keep overthinking things because I'm like, oh my God, we moved into this new apartment and we have, like, the previous people left like a bunch of containers that they were using for growing. And I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to put in there? But I like what you're saying, like, don't overthink it. So that's when I'm going to do that this year. But yeah, my name is Israel Munoz Mireles. I am the online community manager at the Community Food Navigator. If you're not familiar with the Community Food Navigator, we are an organization funded right before the pandemic as a result of kind of like studies and understanding from within the growing community in Chicago, specifically folks growing in Black, Brown, and Indigenous communities, who realized that there was a lot of resources that were difficult to access, and that just the nature of growing in Chicago and Cook County can be a bit difficult to parse and to navigate. And so our goal as the Navigator is to both serve as a place for people to come together, grow in power, and grow in knowledge, for folks to share information. We have an online application, but we also have, yes, I'll explain that as how you follow the Navigator. So here, let me share first. I'm going to share about our website, which that's going to have links to everything in there. But yeah, so we also have in-person events, which we also I love our in-person events because it's a great place to come together in community. But specifically for what Elizabeth shared, we have an app, and I'm sharing links for that as well. And so this app was developed in community, like, this app was developed by folks in community. It was developed with feedback. We are still receiving feedback. If you're in the app and you have opinions, share it. We're always trying to make this app and this organization as a whole work better for the community. So one thing, so there is an interest form that we go through for folks to join the app, and this primarily just because this space was created by community to share resources and to protect each other. And so we just want to make sure that when people are coming in, they understand what the space is for, and that there aren't extractive practices happening. That doesn't mean you should absolutely, the form, most of the time, the form just helps us know who you are and how we can help you and connect you with people. So I just added in the chat the interest form. Please feel free to fill it out. If you have any questions, I've also added my email. So feel free to email me. I am always available for any questions. And the last thing I added in there is a link to the gardening group, which is where conversations about this from this calls will continue, and where people can stop. Doesn't mean you can't post another place of the app, but that is where you can throw your questions, and we will make sure that things get answered and that folks are engaging. But yes, I know it is one. I don't know if there was anything else, Elizabeth. I'm sorry if I ate all the time that was left.
Nope, you did great. I'm just going to share a little bit more about Contemporary Farmer. David, if you want to kind of walk us through this. If you have to hop off, thank you for being here. I will send a follow-up email with notes, emails, resources, hopefully summarizing everything we heard today, as well as the recording.
Let's go to the second page. I'm happy to help you guys out. I love to educate. I love to simplify different things. If you need soil, if you need seedlings, if you need seeds, I am slowly continuing to build and establish my business in this way, so I can give you those resources and education. So thank you, everybody. Take a picture, say hello. It is a long growing season, and we're not sure what it's going to look like, but let us keep growing. Let us stay engaged, and let us alleviate some of the heaviness of life and existence right now with good food, with good people. Thanks, y'all. Have a beautiful day. Wear something fun. Have fun today and every day. So go ahead and do that.
Bye, everyone. Thank you so much.
Ciao, ciao, ciao. Peace.